Hi there, I'm Pablo Ral, a ski mountaineering coach, and welcome to the Global Skimo YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about one of the most spectacular and explosive disciplines of ski mountaineering, the sprint. Let's relive the Andalusian Championship in which I participated. The race started with the reconnaissance, where I did some segments at a faster pace to test how it would go at competition speed, mainly practicing the transitions in the places it would do them in the competitive round, and especially seeing that after the hike, after the transition to put on skis, the last stretch until we took off the skins was very long. It was practically half of the sprint, and already from the reconnaissance I realized that the race started there. After this, we had the qualifying round, in which, with only 13 participants, and be direct semi-final, to which 12 would advance. Only one would be left out. So, at first I didn't have to go all out to get to the next round, so it was just part of my warm-up. I took it easy, as the last specific part of my warm-up, hitting that higher intensity zone, but without wasting any energy. I tried to stay calm, but with everyone's encouragement, it was sometimes tough, as I felt bad with all the cheering while I was just strolling. But I was very clear that I couldn't waste any chances that I might need later.
Venga, y con clase, con elegancia. Venga.
And as you are seeing, and this also helps to show you what a sprint is like, the first section is all diamond, then there is a hike, and then you put the skis back on, and there is another last uphill section before removing the skin, and descend through some giant slalom gates until reaching the finish line in a horseshoe-shaped entry. In this round, I got the 5th best time. It was about 5 minutes, and one judge even asked me, surprised, if the time I had on my watch was the same as theirs, because it was odd that mine was not one of the boss times, but it was simply because and saving energy for the next round. I qualified for the semi-finals and ended up in a quite competitive round. I was with Nico Molina, who came from the World Championships in great shape. Then there was also Jose Carlos Núñez, another up-and-comer, and some juniors who had moved up a category this year. Not to mention Salva Olivas, who is a rocket in mountain races. I knew that to advance to the final, I just had to be among the top 3. It didn't really matter if I was first or third, so from the start, I positioned myself in 3rd place. Again, saving all the energy I could, thinking about reserving myself for the final. I was going at a good pace, making very good changes, and constantly checking my position, looking back to make sure Salva wouldn't give me any trouble.
Venga, Pablo. Venga, Pablo, muy bien. Muy bien, Pablo. Vamos, Salva. Vamos, Salva. Venga, Pablo.
Venga, Palillo, va arriba. Venga, Palillo, va.
Venga, pechito, cabrón.
I didn't care what they did up front. I knew I was in a position to qualify, and I only focused on what was happening behind me. As you can see, I always made the change in the same place. The best spot I had found, and where I had already decided during the reconnaissance that I would make the changes. In this last long stretch, I kept holding my position, even gaining a bit on those ahead, because they also slowed down. Salva picked up the pace behind me. At first I wasn't too worried because I knew that when he caught up, I still had the energy to speed up and keep my position in the final. We reached the change pretty close together. I was a bit behind Nico and Jose Carlos, but I made an amazing change, one of the best I've done in my life, and I practically got out ahead of Jose Carlos.
¡Ay, chica! ¡Ay, chica, que te paso!
On going downhill, I knew I was better than him, but I already had my place secured, so I wasn't going to risk trying to overtake him at a gate and end up falling together. And that we might miss the final, that position worked for me, so I just kept up with his pace behind him. But at the last gate, I took it better. I leaned really well on the outside ski, and he made an overtaking move on the inside that was widely celebrated. And I take this opportunity to remind you that I am a ski mountaineering coach and endurance sports trainer in general, mostly focused on people who enjoy the mountains. So, if you want to improve your performance and bring out your best, you can contact me. So we can design a specific training plan for you that suits your availability. Let's keep going.
Venga ahí. 10 segundos. Los últimos no los canto, 5 segundos. ¿Listos? ¡Ya!
It was time for the final. And now, yeah, all the energy I had saved was to be used now. My strategy was clear. I knew it was going to be very difficult to beat Nico, who came from the World Championships at an amazing level. So I went out hard, elbow to elbow with Nico and Salme, who had placed 4th in Spain in this discipline in previous years. When we got to the triangles, I took the opposite path from Nico, and we kept crossing paths with me, always just behind him, passing right behind his tail. Leaving them, I got behind the wheel and knew that it was the winning wheel that I had to stick to no matter what, and not let it get too many meters ahead, because I could lose the race. He was setting the pace and I was just thinking about holding on. When he reached the first transition, as he left his poles, he completely blocked the way. I had to pass the pole over him and make the change right in front of him, a change that I made very quickly. In just 5 seconds, I ended up right in front of him. I tried to block him from entering the stairs, but he managed to slip by and took the lead again. And then he started running, made a change of pace. After all, it's his specialty, mountain races. And I tried to use as little energy as possible, since with the carbon boots on the rocks, I could slip a bit. In fact, he was slipping a bit in front of me, and at one point I even started walking to save energy. I made the switch to put it here, in my spot, where I'd done everything. And then the last stretch began, where I already knew the race was starting, and I simply counted to 10. My pulse was racing. You're gonna hear it now. And where I had already taken the measurement, I started running, knowing that From there, I was not going to stop until it was time to remove the skin. It was a move I'd seen the world champion use this year in the final stretch of the sprint. I trained for it in my series and saved my energy throughout the previous rounds for this moment. I reached the skin removal transition with a bit of a lead, made the change smoothly and error-free, and launched myself downhill. Worn out, I had given my 100%. My lactate levels were through the roof, and on top of that, it was foggy. I had to descend carefully because I already had the first place secured. And that's how I managed to reach the finish line in first place, becoming the absolute champion of Andalusia, a dream for me that proved my fitness level in sprints was very high. At that time, I was excited about the possibility of holding the national sprint championships and was very happy with the performance he was showing. And how I would be able to perform in that race? Finally, as you know, they have suspended it for another year, in which we don't have this championship. In 2020, it was already suspended due to COVID, and this year it has not been held either, so we will have to wait to the 2022 Spanish Sprint Championship to see if we could be at the very front too. Thank you very much for all the support you give me. I really appreciate it if you leave a like or if you share this video with a friend who also does ski mountaineering or just a skiing buddy, so they can see that you can go fast on skis too. And see you soon with another video. Goodbye.